Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Wednesday night, August 30th, 2023, about 10:50 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity, it looks like 1.7 here into the in Nevada area. Let's go ahead and zoom in, see what we got. There's that 1.7 showing up here far southeastern Nevada. Nothing big. A couple small microquakes out there today, literally throughout the Nevada region. The Bay Area of California did see some movement as well, including a 3.4 earthquake near Patterson, California, which sits over here on the eastern side of this mountain range. Now, looks like that may be off of the, I don't know if that's a Greenville fault or not, but it looks like it's pretty close. There's a couple other fault systems that do run through here. Little odd earthquake activity, pretty shallow out there west of Patterson. 3.4. It looks like a little aftershock activity as well following that movement. We got some creeping earthquake activity creeping down here into the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault. I'm not joking. That's the creeping segment, so to speak, there of the San Andreas Fault, the plate boundary. And it looks like some small microquake activity stirring up there today. Southern California, well, nothing major going on here. Looks like mostly smaller microquake activity. A little swarming building up here around the Anza area, just off the San Jacinto fault zone. But overall, things generally quiet and typical down there for right now. Mount St. Helens earthquake activity, still having some movement. Looks like a little 0.0. Okay. 0.0 earlier this evening. Well, in that case, I guess I need to go see what's going on for myself. Right, let's go ahead and, by the way, tremor, 50 epicenters of tremor, mostly again confined here to the Central Oregon area. It's been that way for a little while, kind of built up here. Most of the time, we don't see too much tremor activity here. It's either down south or up north, so this looks like it's filling in slightly. But let's check out the Mount St. Helens area for earthquake activity. There's that 0.0. Goodness. We're going to go to the recorded seismograph stations here and see what we have for that 0.0. This is, let's see here. It almost still looks like there's some earthquake activity occurring. Notice these little spikes up here. These are very, very small earthquakes. But the question is, what's creating these earthquakes? Is it volcanic activity underneath, or is this just typical faults active around the volcano there, Mount St. Helens? But it looks like a handful, definitely a handful of earthquake activity there. There's another earthquake, a well-defined one. Now, that's not a 0.0. And that earthquake struck here, it looks like at, what do we got? Pacific Daylight Time. That's going to be 1600. Maybe between 4 and 5 o'clock. Is that right? Let's go over here and see what we got. 4 and 5 o'clock. That's past that. Definitely. Actually, that was before that. This is 1800. So you guys see that? There's a little bit of earthquake activity showing up here in the past few hours there at the Mount St. Helens area, and nothing being reported at all, except for a 0.0. That doesn't do any good there as far as reporting goes from the agency. So continue to watch this. It's right now it's just minimal earthquake activity, but there's a handful of them. Definitely a good handful of smaller earthquakes. We'll continue to watch that. Of course, I do have the Mount St. Helens seismograph station up here somewhere, right here. That's going to be the station to watch there on the live stream. All right, getting back to earthquake activity. Just have to watch that. Movement outside of Ogden, Utah. What do we got going on up here? A 3.7 earthquake off of the East Cache Fault, it looks like, the southern segment. This is a mountain range up here, so obviously we do see some faults building up here over time, and a little bit of earthquake activity there today in Utah. 3.7, 11 kilometers deep, well north of the Salt Lake City area. All right, we kind of jumped out of California here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on down there. Yellowstone National Park. Let's go ahead and double check that. See what we have for earthquake activity. Give me a second, or give this a second here. Not a whole lot. Look at this. About as clear as can be. These are probably going to be some wind events from earlier. It did show up throughout the general park. I'm not going to go into windy right now and show you guys, but for the most part, you guys will know that this is wind activity or rain, thunderstorm activity kicking up out there. Texas, goodness, we got Texas booming out here, and they're booming out in the oil fields big time. Outside of Pecos and south of Midland here, it looks like. Let's see what we got. Hello, Earth to Texas. Are we in there? A little bit of earthquake activity. Let me see what we got here for the satellite view real quick. I know there's quite a bit of, you know what, down here. Oil pumping operations. Look at that. There's a wastewater disposal facility right at this earthquake area. That's not a swimming pool. That's not for the local farmers and the local oil workers that jump in after a hard day's work. These are these are wastewater disposal ponds here. Don't want to be swimming in that. So that earthquake there occurring very close to one. 2.3 earthquake there earlier today. Also a little swarm of activity south here of San Antonio here. What do you think's out here? What do you guys think is out here? Think it's a jungle? Or is this also oil fields? Goodness. Well, what do you know? 2.4, 3.2, and a 1.7 out here in the oil fields of Texas. All right, backing out of here. Nothing going on too much out here across the eastern portion of the country, aside from a bunch of rainfall from Idalia, which we'll check out here in a little bit at the end of this video. 1.7 or 1.6 near Lion Mountain, New York. Way up here. Way north here on the northern end of the Appalachian Mountains there. We do see some earthquake activity out there on occasion, but not anything big popping up for now. 3.9, actually a 4.2 kicking up here on the Puerto Rico Trench earlier. 92 kilometers deep. Got something brewing underneath here. This is another major area potential here of some large damaging mega quakes. I did a little study on this here in the past couple years, and that's it's a prime area, I think, of seeing a mega quake potential. Right now, 4.2, 92 kilometers deep, and a little bit of earthquake activity around that general region. South America, got a trail of earthquake activity here around the Santiago, Chile area. This is the Peru-Chile Trench. And this kind of makes the Puerto Rico Trench look like I don't know what. I can't really compare it because it's a massive compared to the Puerto Rico Trench. This one here, very capable of producing some mid-9s, mid-9.5 earthquake activity, the largest ever recorded out here, at least in human history. For now, a couple 4s and 5s letting us know that it's still alive and kicking. There's a 5.1 outside of the King Cove, Alaska area, 51 kilometers deep from earlier this morning. It looks like a little bit of earthquake activity following that deeper movement, a 3.8 shallower upstream here towards the Aleutian Trench. But for now, typical area, typical region here of Alaska seeing some earthquake activity. Japan, looks like a 4.6 earlier today. Not really seeing anything major kicking up there. Over here around the Vanuatu area, this has been our quiet zone, but not for, not today, but over the past couple days, it's been relatively quiet. So we're filling in with some relatively shallow earthquake activity up and down the plate boundary. Look at that. Bunch of 5s, but these are relatively shallow, only about 10 kilometers deep or so. All the deeper movement that we've seen here over the past couple weeks, adding some strain upstream. I expect that to continue, but I do want to keep an eye here along the Kermadec Trench southward to New Zealand. I think that's an area to watch pretty closely for some movement here soon. 3.2 New Zealand area 11 hours ago, at least that's the reported earthquake activity. There's a 4 point, that's back in July. That's a long time ago, a month ago. All magnitudes here. Looks like some 2s kicking off here around the eastern coast of the North Island. Nothing major, though, that I can see. But again, I think it's in line to see some earthquake activity here soon. There's some of that smaller earthquake activity across the GeoNet drums here. Again, watch that area of New Zealand. Went from, you seen that? Hit a portal from New Zealand all the way to Mount St. Helens. Goodness. All right, outside of this is Afghanistan here. Pretty deep earthquake, 203 kilometers deeper into the mountain range of the Afghanistan area, 4.4. Let's check out the GeoNet servers here, see what we have. Minimal earthquake activity, it looks like, here across the Mediterranean for now. 4.9 Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Aside from that, just kind of waiting on things here. You look at telltale signs of what could be coming, and for now, I think we definitely need to watch this area around New Zealand. It's been telling us a story of nothingness, quietness, so to speak, with earthquake activity off the plate boundary, but well inland here, an intraplate earthquake activity that we've seen. Let me bring this back here and show you guys what I'm talking about. We'll just go the past 30 days here. There's been a little swarm of activity out here. I think there's been a little bit more out here in this basin. It's away from the plate boundary, but sometimes these little intraplate earthquakes can give us a telltale sign of some major strain out here against the plate boundary, and that would be the obvious area to look for in terms of transfer of pressure, so to speak. If the plate boundary is pretty locked and loaded, sometimes we see that activity inland. In this case, a bunch of 4s out here in between the New Zealand and the Australia area. So we'll definitely watch that. Keep an eye on that New Zealand area. Let's see, a little bit of activity way up north here. Way up north, 4.7 earthquake in the Bering Strait. Been a while since we've seen activity up here. Historical earthquake activity does show some movement, obviously. Somewhat of an active area, but not super active. Looks like historical data there shows a little bit of movement in the recent past. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's check out space weather here real quick. Got a little bit of flaring going on here on the global delayer absorption map here. Looks like that may be coming from, well, let's take a look here at the UV filter array. I would say potentially this area right here. It is a sunspot region that's off on the northwestern limb that will be facing away from us here in the coming days, but it does look like it's kicking up slightly, some C-flare activity from 3413. We're looking at, let's see what the latest update looks like here. There's this area right here that's producing a little bit of C-flare activity. Goodness, I had high hopes of this area, but it looks like it's diminishing pretty quickly. Same for this area. Good Lord, it's not looking good far as solar flare activity. These are not promising there for any flaring. Just looking at it, it's boring, folks. 60% chance of a C flare. Are we in solar minimum or what? M flare at 10%, X flare around 1%. Welcome to the new solar minimum. Actually, we are still ahead, folks. We still are ahead in terms of the sunspot number progression. This is the solar cycle 25, right? Maximum comes around roughly about July or August 2025. So we're way ahead still, but we're probably going to start going down here with this chart. That's the predicted is right here in the red line. Actual number up here in these little charts. Predicted SFI, the solar flux index, which is the energy, so to speak. We're still way ahead. This is the predicted number. And, even though it's slow right now, I think we'll watch this and hope that things may kick up here, because we're supposed to be active. Right now, there's not a whole lot going on. So maybe we're waiting for winter, right? Maybe we're waiting for some major solar weather events when we can see some some dandy of auroras up here in the northern hemisphere. Once that the tilt, the tilt of the Earth kind of goes back to the winter phase. All right, but for now, we'll just kind of watch things. Storm Prediction Center did have a little bit of activity out here along the eastern segment of the country due to, well, what is it? A tropical storm now? Tropical Storm Idalia. Current activity, let's check this out here as we go to the warnings and the cone. Sitting right over South Carolina, it looks like, as 2 a.m. Eastern time. Maximum sustained winds, 60 miles per hour. Movement northeast at about 21 miles per hour, continuing to drift off into the Atlantic. This model here, at least from the National Hurricane Center, shows that it will continue to drift off and then shoot off towards the northeast. We'll check out the little model here in a minute as far as that potential loop. Remember, we're looking at maybe a revisit of Florida from Idalia. Again, flash flooding potential, obviously up into North Carolina region. There's actually a pretty good, decent chance of seeing some flooding. Just because it's a tropical storm does not mean that the threat is over, right? We're still looking at the potential. All right, let's go right here and check out the model runs. This is the future model prediction, GFS model. Yeah, it's kind of getting, it gets taken away. It almost looks like it wants to loop back around, and it probably would. But there's something going on over here. I believe it's that other hurricane that's pulling it, Franklin, over there, saying, hey, let's go for a little ride, Idalia, taking it further out into the Atlantic and just shredding it off that way. So that is the story. Oh, goodness. Look at that. Ooh, my. I got to go in here a little bit closer and see what we got here for California. I like that. Let me go over here and check that real quick. I'm hoping that will hold true because that looks like some rain coming to California. I know we have some cooler weather. This is this weekend, Friday, Saturday. We're supposed to be down into the cold in here. Let me look here. Yep, Friday, Saturday we're supposed to be in the mid 70s with a chance of rain, and then going back up into the low 90s. So we know this. It's showing up here. This is probably going to take place. But further down the line, I seen something that caught my eye. And I'm hoping that that's true. Nice cold front coming in here, bringing some sufficient rainfall out here in Northern California. Some pretty decent rainfall rates there for this time of year. September is not our wet month at all. But this could have something to do with the El Nino pattern kicking up. Still holding strong. We're expecting a strong El Nino through the wintertime here in the northern hemisphere, and that of course means more rain for Southern California and Northern California, drier up into the Pacific Northwest, but that's, sometimes that's just how it is. But for me here in Northern California, I definitely want the rain. That looks good. September 15th, we'll see if this changes or not. It's a ways out, 2 weeks out, so I hope, fingers crossed, that holds true. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. If you didn't get a chance to watch our live stream on the super duper quadruper dragon moon, I don't know what it's called. It's called a super blue moon. Technically, folks, it's just a full moon. Nothing special about it. It's just, watch our video. Watch the live stream. I don't want to be the party pooper, but it's just a full moon tonight. That's it. Same as it was past couple millions of years, same as it will be in the next couple millions of years. So nothing special. The only people that make it special are us humans, that put these special names on it and whatnot. But anyway, okay. Somebody said, "Oh, you're a party pooper. Why are you ruining the good mood?" I'm trying to be realistic here. There's nothing special about it. It's basically a blue moon is what humans call the full moon inside of a calendar month. Second full moon inside of a calendar month. But the moon does not care about our calendars. The full moon will come up every 30 days and it will continue every single year and month for the next who knows how long. It doesn't care about these names. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. But if you didn't get a chance to check it out, go watch our live stream. It's up there on the channel. Have a good night. Full moon, right? Brings out the craziness. I'm feeling it. Have a good night.